Hi, this is Amy M. Burns from amymburns.com and the author of the newly published Using Technology with Elementary Music Approaches, published by Oxford University Press and available on Amazon now. Today, I am going to approach and tackle the difficult task of rhythm play-along videos. Actually, it depends on how you define difficult. We are using just free tools, so I'm going to show you using Keynote first, then PowerPoint, and then the screen recording tool of Loom. So all free items that we're using today. I will also, in the information here in YouTube, show you where you can find all of the items that I'm showing here, like the free images and things like that. So stick around, it's a long one today, but stick around with me, learn how to do this, feel free to skim in and out, and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you get more weekly videos of items that you can incorporate into your elementary music classroom. Let's get started. These play-along videos have been so incredibly helpful in our classroom this year. Whether they're the Musication Boomwhackers or their body percussion play-alongs or their rhythm play-alongs, videos like these have been great for any teaching scenario because they work whether you're remote teaching or you are hybrid teaching or you are asynchronously teaching with some sort of learning management system or you're teaching in person with restrictions. These have been really wonderful to use. So I decided, how is it that we can make one? So this is the one that I made. It is a beginner one, so I apologize for any errors you will see. And when I show you today how I made it, it's just one way. There probably are 40 different ways you can do this. So my goal here today is to show you how to do one where the conductor floats across the screen and using PowerPoint or Keynote. So using free tools, basically, and using screen recording tools as well. So I'm not using anything like Adobe Premiere. I'm not going into anything really professional. I'm using just pretty much free educator tools. The only thing, unfortunately, we can't use to create one of these, or at least I haven't figured out how, is Google Slides because the animation isn't as in-depth as it is with Keynote and PowerPoint. But today, excuse me, I'm going to show you how to make one of these using Keynote and PowerPoint and a screen recording tool. So in order to do this, I created a document. So everything is shared in the post. In this post, I share the link to the document. In this post, I also share the link to the actual video. So you don't have to go through this post if you don't want to. I also created activities. So here is an activity in Seesaw, and here is an activity in Google Slides. And basically, both activities do is it gives the students the patterns to review first and practice along. In Google Slides, they'll use the text tool and write in the methodology that you use for counting rhythms. In Seesaw, they're going to use the microphone tool and practice recording themselves saying or performing however you would like them to perform the rhythms. They also can use multiple modalities in Seesaw. That's why I love it. It's such a great tool. They can record themselves saying it. They can record themselves with a video, or they could use the text tool, the label tool, to write in the notes. The methodology of rhythm counting that you're using. So I love using that as well in Seesaw. But if you are purely Google Slides, you can take this copy. And then the last slide is the actual video. It's embedded here in Google Slides, and it's also embedded here in Seesaw. So feel free to take those and use those. But this video will show you how to create it. So again, we're going to be using free tools, and it's the conductor moving across the screen. So to start, as I write here, you're going to go work around a concept, an objective that you're teaching the students, something you want them to start practicing. Or maybe you're using this to prepare them for a concept you're about to teach. Whether you're using the Kodai approach or Dr. Fryer Robbins approach, or you're using Orff Schulwerk's approach, or you're going to be using any sort of approach, you're going to start with the concept. So the video itself is just a manipulative. It's a tool. This is all based around your curriculum and the concept you want the students to learn. So start with that, and your considerations here is you're going to pick a piece of music to complement it. So think about the length, the form, and the copyright. Like, are you going to take a recording? Be careful with that. Are you going to take a recording that could be heavily copyrighted and you're going to put it on YouTube? Be careful. Again, unlisted YouTube links probably going to be fine, but I do want to just give that caveat of being careful about that. Then you're going to create the layout of your video, and you're considering in ways that are going to help your students learn. So are you going to put in one line at a time, and then when the line's done, it disappears, they're playing the next line, and then overlapping comes the next line, like so they can see the line coming? Or are you going to put the little pattern in the side of the screen that's coming? Or, are you going to use notes or icons? What's going to be appropriate for your age level? And as the rhythm's going to pulse, are you just going to put the patterns on the screen? Are you going to have a bouncing conductor? We've seen all of these, so we know. Like, let me give you some wonderful, wonderful examples. Elementary Groove Tracks. He's amazing. I'm sure you've seen this icon I'm showing you right here. And how great is he? He's the one who has the pointer, but he also conducts, like, visually. And his are always so beautifully precise. And he has said on Facebook groups it takes him hours. And he's using some professional equipment to do it. His are also, like, super. Musication, we love musication. I love, if you can see here in the Hall of the Mountain King, when you finish something, the next part is coming on top. It's great. I mean, how many times their conductor is so precise, jumping over. Musication, amazing. How about Porqueno Mozart? I love these with the little conductor that goes across the screen over the bubbles. Just wonderful. And then earlier this week and today, Crystal Peters was putting her Moana up. So I want to give a shout out to her because she gave me permission to share this. Thank you. Plus, she used PowerPoint. So again, you have access to this doc. Just go look in the comments or in the description of this YouTube video, and you'll see a link to this doc. And so you can see this. There's the YouTube video, and she also gave you a tutorial, which is great. And she uses PowerPoint exclusively and a little bit of Adobe Premiere in the tutorial. So what I don't cover in PowerPoint, I highly encourage you to go and check her out there. Now, we need graphics. So there are some great free resources. A big shout out to Katie Wardrobe and the big free music notation image library. All the notations that I'm using here come from her big free music notation image library. You can find it at midnightmusic.com and the link is right here. Katie has an excellent community. It's a subscription-based community, but there's a lot of free tools if you don't have the subscription. I will disclose I do work for the community, and I think it's amazing. Also, Nathan Walby, this, you've seen this. These videos are amazing. And what did he do? He shared with music educators the everything file. Click on this and you get all of his tools that he uses to make his slides, and you get it in Google Slides. It's really, really phenomenal. Check it out. So if you need images, you don't want to recreate the wheel, check out those two resources and these other resources as well. So let's get started. The first thing I did to create this was I went over to Canva. Now Canva, I'm going to bring you back here. Canva has a free educators version. So click on this and sign up and you get the free educators version, which has a lot of wonderful templates and images and stock images that you can use. So that's what I did. I actually found this template that's called Pink Cute Chick Vintage 90 Virtual Trivia Quiz Presentations. So obviously it's Friends. It's really it has the Friends font, but I was just looking for something different. So I brought in Katie's images and then found stock photos here of a nutcracker. And then, I made this instructions and made this and then get ready. But you can't animate much here yet. I'm going to say yet. I think they will improve it where you'll animate more. So it had all these templates in it, and I just kind of went through and found the basic one I needed and put in her images. how great are these? This is a line tool, and these were all in Katie's images. So I created this, and then when I went to download it, it wants to take it out as an MP4 video, but of course you can switch that around. So I did kind of a high quality image of PNGs, and if I didn't want the whole thing, I would just find the pages I wanted. And that's how I brought it down. I did like that the first page was a GIF, so I did export this one out as a GIF. I'm going to start in Keynote. In Keynote here, I just put the images right in. However, you can make those images as backgrounds if you'd like. When you're here in the inspector, go into the format, and you can just put in the background, just click on the color fill and go into image fill and bring them in as backgrounds. Or you can just click and drag them in. It's really up to you how you want to do it. And the slides came in one by one. Again, this one was a GIF, so I brought the GIF in and then just told it when I click on it, I told it to I can tell the movie to loop. I can tell the movie to start on a movie click or play across movie slides. It can do whatever I want with that. Now, the soundtrack. I need the soundtrack. So here, what I did was a few different things. I'm really cautious of how it could be shared out. And if I was using copyrighted music, especially from sources that don't like it when you put their copyrighted music on YouTube, I'll just leave that there. I was trying to not go that route. So there's a few things you can do. One of them is I kind of just, you could play it and kind of use your own recording depending on the music you're using. Since I am not skilled enough at piano, I did put this right into NoteFlight and then exported this as an MP3. One of them that I did with Thankful is I just created my own. This is a play-along video of rhythms I did for my students, and I just used Soundtrap. Now, since I'm using it, not the students, you can use the free version and just create your own, and then you can just export that as a WAV or a MIDI. As a WAV or an MP3 file, and it's great. That's here in the studio. It will export as a WAV. If you go over here, it will export as a MP3, as you can see down there. So when I was in Keynote, what I'm going to do is go into the inspector and bring in that audio file. When I bring it in like this, it's kind of the soundtrack. It will play across the slides. So that's what I want it to do. So that's how I do this in Keynote. I'm coming up with PowerPoint soon, and I'll leave in the description when you can just skip over to the PowerPoint and how to find it. So I put in these slides, and next came the little Russian dancers. So what I did was like this. I took a slide, I brought it in. So my first slides were these. So I'll bring in the first slide with the meter on it. So there it is. I just clicked and dragged it in. Now I'm going to bring in the little dancer. Now when I brought the dancer down, he had a white background. So I put him in remove.bg, and now the dancer has a transparent background, which is what I wanted, so it wouldn't be looking like a little square with a dancer in it going across the screen. I can crop this in here. We'll go into format of this image and go into image and edit the mask. Here in Keynote, that's how you crop. You edit mask. So I'm going to crop him, and now I want this image to move. All right, so I'm going to put it over here, resize it, and now we want it to move. So moving is an animation. So we're going to go, we highlight the dancer, hit animate, and add an effect. I want it to, it's an action. It's not building in or building out right now. I just want it to move. So we go into action and move. All right, so it moved it for me. Really, really cool. It bypassed where I want to go, so I'm just going to move it back. Perfect. It's too slow. That duration, because of that speed, even though I recorded it slower, it's going to be 1/10 of a second. Now I'm going to add an action. I love this in Keynote that I can just actually continue drawing this little guy across the screen. So I'm going to do a move again. You'll notice that he moved again. See the whole timeline across the stream. So I'm going to move him. And again, bring it down to 0.10 of a second. Then I'm going to do the same thing again. Add, move. That one looks really good. 0.10 of a second. And one more. Add, move. I like how Keynote is very intuitive and very kind of less clicking, a lot less moves. So there we go. We got it. Now, he appeared on screen and he moves. So I always say test this out. So what you're going to do is hit the play. You can do the preview. You are hearing the music. Perfect. So what I did to make it move is I didn't use the space bar. I like to use the down arrow. I think it's a little bit more precise, or it's easier for me than just clicking a loud space bar. I would suggest not to use a mouse because a mouse can lag, and I would suggest not to use any Bluetooth. So if you're using headphones, I would suggest to hardwire your headphones if you can, and to use the down arrow to make the dancer move. So we know that works, so I can copy and paste and move it down here. Copy and paste will be your best friend. So if you look at the build order here, it's all there. Show the actions. Look, there he is across the screen. So that copy and the paste works beautifully for anything that's the same. And then you can see all the moves. Now, when you go to the next screen, let me go into the file I'm already using. I tend to, let's highlight him to see what we've done. I tend to make him appear on click is on that screen. But I'll show you over here, I make him appear after the transition. Now, why did I do that? So over here, when I go from this to this, there's no little blue notice there. That means I didn't put a transition between the two slides. So you have two choices. You can put a transition between the slide, and then the next time the dancer appears, you're going to have to click him onto the screen. The advantage of that is you hold off putting the conductor on the screen until you're ready for the conductor to be seen. The other option is what I did here, which was, it's this one, which was to make the dancer come after the transition. So instead of on click, which it usually defaults to, it's after the transition. And that is basically how I did it. Now, because I wasn't going to make this line disappear while this one's playing, instead, all I did was, again, bring in this picture and resized it small and put it here. The other thing I did in the format was I added a box. And when I added the box, it looks like here comes the next slide. And that is how I made this. For the half notes, the timing, right? It's just to animate that timing a little bit different. So the half notes, I didn't even animate that timing too different, but here's where the animation of the timing went for a second. So you can see that the duration of that went a second. I think this is when he clicked onto the screen. He was only a tenth of a second. But then when he moved, he's about a second because he's a half note. That's how I did it in Keynote. Now let's jump over to how we created this in PowerPoint. PowerPoint's very different, and the way you see it on my screen might be so different than how you see it on your screen. I am using a version of PowerPoint on a Mac laptop. That could be very different than if you're using PowerPoint on Windows. So what I'm about to show you might be limited because you might be going, you know what, my PowerPoint could do what you just did in Keynote, but you're not showing that. It's not that I'm not showing that. It's probably that I can't show that. Or you might say, I know how to do this way, but you're showing another way. That's okay. That's really okay. You should do it the way that you love. All right. So if I do it one way, that's really cool. And if you do it another way, that's amazing. And that's wonderful. So let's begin with PowerPoint by inserting the audio file so we'll play across the slides. To do that, you would go over here to the Insert, go to Audio, find the file, and then it would place itself right here with the icon right inside the slide. So with that, you'll see it over here in the Animations panel. If you click on it, it will open more menus. The bottom menu, the media menu, is the one you want open. So if it's a closed, open it up. And all you have to do is click the bottom choice and then determine how many slides the rhythm play along will be. Mine is 25, so I put it up to 25 slides. And now when I click play, this will play across the screens without any issues. All right, so here we have it again. I have this. I've inserted the picture, okay, and now I'm going to bring in my next dancer. So I'm going to insert another picture from the file. I did it through the insert. I could do it in other ways too. And I'm going to bring back the little dancer. And again, we know that he has a transparent background. So of course you can crop right in here just by going to the crop tool. But now we're going to do the animations. And this is where, if you're really like, I need to see PowerPoint on a Windows machine, then I would suggest Crystals, which I put in that doc. So I put him here and I want animations. So I go to the animations tab. Now I want a path animation. All right. So there is the fact that I will probably do an appear animation first that they appear in. And maybe it's coming after a previous or with a previous. They give you more choices here. And Crystal does a nice job in her doc explaining the difference. So I might say after previous, so it will appear. And notice now that I have a 0, and now my animations panel, my animation panel is starting to fill up. So this is very similar that you saw in Keynote. So now I want it to move. There were so many different ways I was trying to figure this out in PowerPoint, and this is the way I figured it out. So I went to path animations. You think draw a line would have worked, but it didn't. I tried so many ways to draw it the way I did, you saw me do in Keynote. It just didn't work. I finally gave up on this tool. Now, if you know how to do this, that's amazing. It just wasn't working for me. So I did the line tool. So it goes down, which is really cool because it looks like he's kind of sliding down the corner note. But then it brought up effect options, and I want it to go right. So now I've got it going right. Perfect. And it's too far, just like Keynote did. So you need to have a red dot to make it move, not the arrow, the dot. So perfect. All right. Now I tried again to do draw. I tried so many different ways. If I changed this, I would change the effect already. So what I did eventually is do this. This dancer is now appearing, so I need the dancer now to exit. So I'm going to make it disappear. You'll notice over in the panel is really important. It's going to exit, not on the click after the previous. So at least the previous shows, and then I don't want it to disappear with it unless it's not timed right. Then I'll switch that. So now I have appear, moves, disappears. Good. So now I'm going to copy and paste. It will be your best friend. Perfect. And now you'll notice over here, if I click on it, it's showing me where I am. You copied, and then you're going to move, and then you're going to disappear again. Awesome. And again, it's going after the previous. We'll check and see if that works right. So you would do it for the rest. Go over here. Again, it has to be the dot. There. All right, good. And then, again, it's done all this for us. See how it's done all because we just copy and pasting. So do it again to right there. So let's look at it. You can hit the preview, but it's going to look like this. Okay, it's too slow, right? So let's go back to that timing. Our timing is way too slow. So when it moves, because it went to 2 seconds, we're going to put it at 0.5 of a second. Very fast. So anytime you see this, you're going to switch it to that. And one more. Now, if we hit the preview, you can see it moving much better. Much better. And again, I usually test it out before I'll cut and paste this down here. So I'll go into the mode here and see if it works. That works. He disappears off the end. So of course here, what I've done on this one is delayed his exit. So I delayed it by I think about 2 seconds. So he just doesn't totally disappear. That he hits that note and then he exits. So I've done that. And that is how you make it. Now, recording. For the final part, we want to record. So I'm going to use Keynote because it just works so much better for me. So this is how I recorded it. I used exactly the tool I'm using right now, which is Loom. So I would hit the play button and I would use the down arrow. What I would do in Loom is let me show you here so you can see this. I do set up the settings in a certain way. So this is what I just went through. Now when I go to record, here it comes. And if I left out things, they're here just to help you. So when I go to record, I set this preferences up to do two things. Not show the control menu so that the little menu isn't right here on every screen. And make sure that the system audio is on. I'm pretty sure it defaults this way, but that one needs to be turned off. But you want the system audio on for this reason. When you have it on in Loom and you turn your microphone off, then it's going to only record the sound that's inside the computer, which is great because that's the soundtrack inside of Keynote. So what I did was this. I hit play. I would hit Loom and start the recording, and then hit play. I'm using the down arrow. And I did a count off here just by using animations. And that is how I got to make that video. I use Keynote just because on a Mac, this is just flowing much better. I believe Crystal used PowerPoint because probably it flowed much better on hers. Now, if you go through this and your quality of audio is not great, or it just didn't, for some reason, something just synced it like a tenth of a second off, and you're like, oh, it took me a while to get this timed right because seriously, I realized I need to be ahead of the beat, not on it, ahead of it, so that when the students play, it feels like it's on the beat. So like you almost have to record it a tiny bit ahead. But if you get caught up in that, as I tell you here, you can, these are all about free tools. So you could use iMovie if you're an iMac. I'm sorry, if you're on a Mac. But if you're just on a device like a Chromebook, use WeVideo. It is free. It does have limitations and it's free. But if you're just trying to sync up an audio with a video, WeVideo will work. That was a long video, I know, but if you're looking to try and do this with free tools, I hope this helps. Again, there's other resources out there, and I know I came in right after Crystal did hers, and I did write her and let her know I was referencing her and gave her props to how well she did hers, and no way am I was like, oh, she's doing hers, I'm going to do mine. I've been working on this all week. We just happened to hit the same day that we're putting this out. But I also want to say that, again, I do work for Katie Wardrobe. She is in January going to be holding a course, like a video course, like video creation course. And I know she's going to be approaching this, making these videos. So if you're interested and you really actually want to work on this for some, just for PD, to say to your school, I worked on this, Katie is one of the best trainers, as you know, if you know her. She does free webinars, and she could really, that could be a course you could really go after and take off with. But I hope this video helped you. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the book, because everything I do on the YouTube channel, all of these manipulatives that I create, I put them in the book supplemental website, which is right there at amymburns.com. So everything that's included in the book is on the supplemental website, but the book tells you how to do it all. And the book tells you how to use the approach with technology, which is using Dr. Feyerabend's First Steps or Kodai's or Orff Schuler's approach. And it has contributors who were gurus in those fields writing the overviews for those approaches. So I encourage you to look over the book and to check it out. Have a wonderful, wonderful break as we head into winter, and I look forward to seeing you soon.